Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here, coming to you from our studios at the Capital Region International Airport. We're going to run down to Ann Arbor right now and spend a little time with an old buddy, as a matter of fact, Gerry Roston. He's an experienced tech startup executive, innovation team leader, etc. Gerry, try to sort out for our audience what the heck that means.
Well, what it means is that I started my career as a geek. I got a Ph.D. in robotics back in the 90s. Let's just say things were a little bit different back then. And I worked for a couple of big companies, didn't enjoy it. I started working for startups, and that was fun. Then I started running some startups, and that was a lot of fun. And then I actually started, the fancy title is entrepreneur in residence, but more about coaching, teaching, mentoring other people who are trying to do tech startups. And I just had a blast doing that. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, and you've had affiliations like kind of all over the state.
Yes.
I know that we saw you at Tech Town down at Wayne State one time, and a couple others. So who are you working with now? Any entrepreneur or any startup that needs your help?
Actually, right now, no, Chris. And again, we'll get to that story in a minute. But let's just say that I was in an accident that took me out of the loop, and then COVID hit, and a lot of the stuff I've done has been in person. So the demand for that with COVID has gone down. My understanding is beginning to ramp up again. I'm hoping to be back to work in the not too distant future.
All right, so let's talk about that, because a few years ago you had quite an ordeal. Let's explain what that was.
Okay, well, in a nutshell, we were driving back from New York, and my wife and I have done that trip at least a dozen times over the past several decades. And it was about 6 o'clock at night in November, so it was dark out. We were on I-80 in Pennsylvania, and a 300-plus-pound male deer tried to jump over our car, came through the windshield, and I'm told the impact with the car killed it, but as it was dying, it kicked me in the head at least once. So to use the highly precise medical terminology, I was pretty seriously effed up.
Yeah, I bet you were. They were surprised, actually, that you made it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I mean, you know how good the University of Michigan Hospital is, and I assume that they're that good because all the doctors they hire are top notch. One doctor, about a year after the accident, literally said to me that my recovery was a miracle. And to hear that from a doctor at that place says something.
Well, and I'm firmly convinced that a lot of that has to do with attitude as well. I mean, you're a very positive guy, a not give up guy, etc. And I think probably in the long run that helps. Now, recovery can take quite a while. You've had support and are getting through this?
Yes. Yeah. Back to your point about the mindset. We talked about that. I've been doing the entrepreneur stuff for a while. And if you look up entrepreneurial mindset online, I check most of those boxes. And I really believe that mindset is like the fundamental reason that I'm still here, because, as an entrepreneur, you have to go through difficult stuff on a regular basis. And let's just say recovery was not easy. And I just set my mind on, this is something important that has to get done. And I did it. Now, in terms of support, one of my colleagues from Tech Town learned about the accident within a few days. And she sent emails to literally hundreds of people, the same email to hundreds of people. And the, what's the right word? The outreach and the support that I've gotten from the entrepreneurial community has really been impressive and very helpful.
Because I was going to say the medical system, it's very large and it takes some knocks periodically. They truly want to see things get better, don't you think?
Yeah. Within the medical system, you sort of have the doctors at the top, and they're the ones who did all the work on me. But the nurses and the therapists who work with you on a daily basis, those people were amazing, because they don't have the fancy titles or the fancy salary of the doctors, but they truly want you to get better. And they really go out of their way to help you do what has to be done to get better.
So Gerry, tell me, where do you go from here now?
Well, what I'd like to do is get back to work in that entrepreneur in residence type role, because not only was it a lot of fun, but you get to see these people grow up. You get to see them from the start of an idea, move it forward. The other thing, and you might appreciate this, Chris, for old farts like us, being around young people with that excitement keeps you young, it keeps you active, and it's it's just really a lot of fun. I want to get back to that.
You're right. It's contagious, that enthusiasm. So you're absolutely right about that. Short-term goal, get back to work as we wrap up. What would you like the Michigan community to take away from our conversation here today?
Well, I think the single most important thing, and again, you deal primarily with entrepreneurs, so hopefully that's a lot of people who are listening. Entrepreneurs have to deal with tough stuff on a regular basis. And just because something's hard doesn't mean give up. I'd like to say that I'm living proof that if you have the right frame of mind and the right attitude, you can get through probably the most difficult situations there are just with that mindset.
Yeah, I think we both say this. Our advice is if you're going to quit when it gets tough, go out right now and take a job.
Yes. Yeah.
Because entrepreneurship is not for sissies.
Correct. And
all right.
Being bright and whatever else helps, but it's really about that mindset, that attitude. And you summed it up nicely.
No, it really is. All right, bud. Gerry Roston, it's always good to spend time with you. Has worked with 8 million startups, experienced tech startup. Keep him in mind, because when he's back in the market and working, you're going to need him. All right. Gerry, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Have a good day.
You've been watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman, and we will be back with more.